jump over to the YouTube side of things and kind of get in more depth of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, teaching you guys how you can do it, and we'll be posting more of it soon. But this bike kind of halted that as of right now. I also work full time, so I'm a busy guy, and I try to pump out as much updates as I can, and I figured a YouTube channel would be the easiest way to do that. Not going to bore you with much talking right now. We're going to make our way to the country here in beautiful Nova Scotia, and we'll see you guys when we get there. Works amazing. We took it up and down the trail a few times, kind of got the feel for it, and yeah, no bad things to say. Now, one thing I will say about this bike is it is very loose in any sort of wet mud or dirt. Anything that's wet, it does like to kick out in about 4th or 5th gear. But it's the only really complaint I have is other than that, it rides smooth. It's very tight on the turns, and yeah, overall great bike. So we are finally back home with the Raptor after a long, hard weekend of driving. She's fun to say the least. Gonna kind of go over a few things that I didn't really like about the bike, and the majority of things I did like about the bike. I know some of you are going to come at me because I didn't have much footage of me riding the bike or the bike out doing its thing, but that is my lack of GoPro. As I'm just starting off, things kind of have to work around me and what I have available in the moment. And GoPro was not one of those things. But overall, the bike rides good. It feels amazing going down the trail. And yeah, gonna kind of go over some ins and outs of the bike and give her a nice, well-deserved wash after a weekend of reliability. So one of the first things I kind of wanted to go over was for being a trail bike and not strictly a race bike, just every now and then you'll get a jolt to the bike. It might have something to do with the suspension is a little stiff, so it's kind of you definitely feel every bump in the bike, which is not what I was expecting from such a new machine, and especially where it's the trail version and not strictly race version. But the bike will definitely take what you throw at it in regards to its handling, its acceleration and braking. It definitely met all my needs. The overall power of the bike is something that I wanted to touch on as well. Meaning as in first gear, you have just as much torque as you do in sixth gear, which is definitely a plus when you're trying to slow down for things like rocks and mud and stuff you kind of want to avoid. It'll pick right back up in any gear, which is definitely what we want out of our machines. As well as power being amazing, we also have other things like ride height. Cleared everything I took it through this weekend, and trails that I went through were not the best, to say the least, but I kind of wanted to just get it out and test its limits and see what it can and cannot do. And definitely blew my mind in the aspect of it will go wherever you put it, no questions asked. The throttle is super responsive. Whenever you touch it in any gear, it will give you more than enough power to catch up or get where you're going quicker. And we're gonna give this bike here a nice clean, so I'll continue over the cleaning process. The first impressions of the bike when I first heard it start up off the showroom floor was I cannot wait to get out and ride this thing. The bike is definitely geared to go fast. The trail riding in this bike is great, don't get me wrong, but if you're doing 50 to 60 in the trails, the bike definitely has to be in quite a lower gear than, say, my Raptor 350. The bike also handles air very well. We took it to a pit using the suspension to the max, we'll say. I also find that these bikes are a little loud in the motor department. When you're riding down the trail, you can really hear that motor, just valves and mechanical things and such like that. But the factory exhaust sounds great, but the engine noise I find is overpowering the exhaust. And just like that, we're back, showroom ready. One other thing I like about this bike is it comes incredibly clean after every ride, which is a bonus for sure. But one thing I did want to touch on is the plastics here. Just from normal leg swinging, not much of a scratch, but definitely enough to show. And that's normal wear and tear on these bikes, and it's hard to watch that stuff, especially when you're out in the trail, you know, having a good time. Definitely not worrying about scratching your plastics. Other than that, the bike comes incredibly clean after a wash. You just have to keep up on this kind of stuff just so that your motor doesn't stain and the mud doesn't have any time to sit on the bike. Overall, definitely came out nice and clean. I know I don't have a whole lot of experience with the whole YouTube thing right now. Definitely let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. The 1000 will be posted soon. I will be coming out with updates within the next week or so. So please be patient, and thank you for tuning in.